again, in their skill positions. Their offensive line was a little bit better, but their skill positions were much better, including the young quarterback they have. So, top to bottom, without a doubt, this is the strongest I've seen this conference in a while. There are no breathers.
And your defense, I wanted to ask about that, but just where are you feeling right now after 5 games? And kind of a lot of different outcomes have happened.
Yeah, there've been obviously a lot of positives. At the same time, really down and critical after last week of our physicality and just our overall focus when it came to finishing on plays. Physicality and tackling, and then just even in our angles that we took on some of the different things. But the good thing about this group, it's been a good group from a standpoint of being able to go in at halftime or even on the sideline during the game and be able to talk to them. And so far, making either in-game adjustments or adjustments at halftime, or explaining to them, what they're getting, and say, okay, hey, this is how you need to correct it, and they've been taking action on that. That's one thing. It's one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to take action on it. And we've done a pretty good job up until this point in time, as far as that's concerned.
How do you feel about your D-tackle rotation now moving forward? You seem to get healthier last week as the week went along, and even a guy like Luke Hollingsworth gets in there against Colorado and gets a sack. Just how do you feel about that position overall?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's no matter what position somebody plays in. We had, like you said, Luke came in and gave us some good minutes, and Dylan chipped in, at the tackle position with having lost 2 the week before. I was not necessarily where we wanted to be a week ago. On the edge. We didn't get great rush off the edge, and I thought we would have done better. But we've done a good job with Coach Seumalo, juggling that rotation to making sure we've got the best 4, 6, 8 guys, every week, playing assignment sound and physically, playing well up front. So that's always critical, because everything, starts with the front, whether it's a run game, or the pass game. And then even for the first time last week, we had 3 safeties out of the game at one time. Deshaun Hunt had to come in the most critical part of the game last week, and you try to help him out by call. At the same time, when we came down to that last series, hey, he's just got to go execute. So we went with the calls that we thought, met that situation and the things that we had practiced during the week, regardless of who was in there. And, we ended up coming up, successful in that situation.
I wanted to ask you about one specific play, DJ's interception in the first quarter. It seems like it was thrown right to him, but I'm sure there's more to it than that. Can you just talk about that call and just kind of how that play developed and put him in the right spot?
He was in a backside zone, and his responsibility is to be able to read the quarterback. And the quarterback actually threw away from him, threw it to the front side, but with an inside breaking route. And he just did what he's supposed to do. He followed the quarterback's eyes and just broke on the ball. And the biggest surprise, I think, in the whole thing was, and we can print this, is that he caught the ball. So yeah. that was awesome to see. So that was just a good play on his part, just, again, doing his job.
Last thing for me, Utah hasn't said they won't announce which quarterback is going to start against you guys. What are the challenges of preparing for 2 different styles of players? It seems like Thompson's maybe a little bit more of a runner, and Wilson's maybe a little bit more of a thrower.
Probably the biggest thing, because they're both runners, the biggest thing is one's righty and one's lefty.
Okay, yeah.
So when it comes to dishing the ball out, especially if they're going to move people in the pocket, do they stay with the right-handed mentality and attack our left side, or do they totally flip their philosophy on that, and when they're going to move the pocket, do they go to his dominant side, which is left? The difference from a standpoint of defending the 2 guys, the system's not going to change, but I think early on, maybe because of the fact that Thomas probably, he knows the run game. They both know the run game well. Pass game, is always a little bit more to it than just, hey, throw to that guy. But that's what it comes down to, because if he's not as versed as Travis is in going through his progression, 1, 2, 3, and then go from there, then it's going to be a look to this side over here, 1, 2, and if it's not there, he's going to yank it down and go. Right. They both escape the same way. They both escape to the outside, and both are just like wild scramblers. You know, there's nothing predictable about them other than, you know, if it's not there, they're gonna take off. So that presents a challenge in and of itself. So other than those things I stated, you know, preparing for these guys, we're preparing for, you know, 3 really good receivers that also have size, and 2 very good running backs with a stout offensive line in front of them.
Riley mentioned that even though it is a bye week, they're not really treating it like a bye week. Is that your game plan, you know, just getting ready for Utah with those extra few days?
Yeah, well, I mean, the great thing is that you get to game prep, you know, maybe 1.5 times, and it's important for the players to study the film and they can know the opponent better. So, no, we're not. I don't know, a bye week. We're not taking vacation, and the players aren't flying home and going to see family or anything like that. You know, just finished practice right now, and now they'll go off to class. Some guys are in the weight room. The guys are in the weight room, and they'll go to class, and the other guys after class will, you know, do the other. They'll get in the weight room, and then they have study hall, and they have film with us later on. So, you know, they'll be busy all day, just like you know, any other day, and you know, I don't know what else they came here to do anyhow. So, you know, go get an education and play some ball. So that's what we're doing right now.
What did you see? Have you seen from Devonte Booker, the running back who carried 33 times against UCLA?
I see a very all-around back. You know, he can run inside, he can run outside. He's very sturdy on his feet. You see guys hit him, and he's not weeble wobble, and you know, we might fall down. I mean, you gotta come and you gotta bring it. He's very detailed, because you could tell by his alignments. You know, we look at alignments by receivers, by linemen, by backs, by quarterbacks, steps that they take, and all those things. And he's very consistent back. You know, and some backs, whether it's within Utah's system or other systems, sometimes they're a little haphazard. I don't like those guys. I like guys that are consistent, so you get a little bit better, you know, beat on them. But that's only the beginning, because of the fact that, you know, he's a good, tough inside runner. He can get outside. He can run away from you. He can make you miss out in the open field. At the same time, he can lower the boom on you. So he was worth them waiting for, you know, getting him eligible. And you know, if he was in this conference, you know, a long time, he'd probably be one of the all-time backs in this conference. So he's going to try to do that all here in a short period of time for them.
Mark, I got here late, but did you get that call from Sark, quote unquote, to clear the air about the blocking technique?
No, and I never expected it. You know, number one, first of all, if you're going to call anybody, go call Noki Tago and his family. And the other thing is, you know, I've seen that before, where people say things in interviews just to kind of CYA it, and then go from there. And he's had a situation with Coach Riley on that when Keith Hayward left here. As far as recruiting is concerned, you know, he did the same thing. So, and the call doesn't do anything. I don't care. I mean, it would never change my opinion as to what happened in the game anyhow. I thought it was just a bad technique that the center used, and it had nothing to do with him. I'm sure he didn't go over to the offensive line and say, "Hey, we're gonna block back on your 3 technique, and we're gonna hit him in the side of the knee." That had to do with their offensive line coach. He's the one that needs to maybe take a look at what they're doing physically, because if this was the NFL, I mean, 2 things I think would happen. Number one, they would get fined for it because of where they targeted that block, and then number 2, somebody would probably go rough the guy up a little bit. Not the center either, probably the offensive line coach. So we're not going to get into that, but yeah, no big deal from a standpoint of call. I don't care one way or the other. I never would have expected. I just feel bad for the players that got hurt.
I noticed that Peko's taking some second-team reps now, moved off the scout team. What's kind of the philosophy behind that?
Well, last week we did it too, a little bit. We've been working him in the rotation, so he gets used to the other players around, and the other players get used to him, getting him prepared. We're just you know, anticipating his class that he had to take the final in, which he took a day or two ago, that he ends up coming out okay with that, and then you know, with any luck, we'll finally see the Kyle Peko play. I hope he's worth all the rant and rave that's about him. We've never talked more about a player that's never played for us, but you know, he'll be another guy. He'll be the next guy up, you know, that type of thing. And it couldn't come at a better time, and hopefully that happens. We've talked about it enough, and you know, if it doesn't happen, no big deal. If it happens, hip hip hooray, and away we go. And for his sake, because he's stuck with it too, you know, and kept going with it. It hasn't been easy for him either, but a lot of it's been on him, and a couple of things happen with compliance. But other than that, you know, if he's ready, we're ready to have him go, and that's why we're practicing.
When do you hope to hear definitive on that?
I hope after we get done talking that somebody says, hey, Kyle Peko's eligible. So I don't know. I told his junior college coach, though, the first time that he puts his hand in the dirt for us,
Right.
we'll get some beat photographer to take a picture of him, and we'll send it off to him, his parents, and his granddad that have been by his side the whole time, and put it in a big glossy frame for him.